Hey guys, my name is Justin Sizelove, and today I'm going to demonstrate how to make beef jerky. The reason I know how to make beef jerky is I worked at a beef jerky plant from the time I was 16 till I was 18. I worked there for 3 years. I was in charge of day-to-day operations, but mainly what I did was put all the jerky on the beef dehydrators, and we were cranking out about 50 pounds of finished product a day, which was 200 pounds of raw meat, because the meat loses 75% of its weight when you dehydrate it. So let's get started. Some of the ingredients we have here are white vinegar. We have Texas Pete pepper sauce with the peppers, and what we're going to do with this is add a little bit of water, put it in the blender, and puree it and add it to the mixture. We got soy sauce, a little bit of water, some brown sugar, and some liquid smoke. And I also have London broil that I got from Publix. I asked the meat department to slice it into thin slices for beef jerky. London broil is a good meat. It turns out really good. It's not really fatty. There's other meats you can use. There's a little bit cheaper meat you can use, like top round, eye round. Any kind of good beef you can use to make beef jerky. But I choose London broil because it's decently priced and it's really good meat for what we're using it for. So basically what we're going to do first is we're going to mix up our marinade. We're going to take the sliced pieces of meat and we're going to marinate it for about 24 hours roughly. And then what I have here is a beef dehydrator. There's 10 trays in here. And tomorrow, after the beef has dehydrated for 24 hours, marinated for 24 hours, I'm going to load this up and we're going to plug it in. And in about 18 to 24 hours we'll have a finished product and there'll be some really good beef jerky. So let's get started. Okay guys, so now we've made our marinade. We got our meat in there. Here's the type of meat we were using. As I said before, it was London broil, and I had Publix cut it in thin strips just like this for me. So I got all the meat in here. It's the last couple pieces. And now this is going to be in the fridge for 24 hours. And every once in a while, maybe about every 6 to 8 hours, you just want to put your hand in here and kind of stir it up a little bit. Get the meat stirred up so all the meat really soaks in there really well. And my friends say I make the best beef jerky they've ever had, so this should turn out rather good. And we're going to put this in the fridge for about 24 hours and then we're going to get back to it. Alright, the next step is loading the meat on the trays. We had this in the fridge for the past 24 hours marinating. And what we're going to do is we're going to load it into this dehydrator. The way the dehydrator works is there's a heating element in the bottom. All these come off. And once you plug it in, it heats up to about 125 to 150 degrees. And that's pretty much the reason why it takes almost 24 hours to dehydrate. It doesn't get that hot in there. It doesn't work like an oven. It maxes out around 150. So we're going to go ahead and load a tray. This is one of the trays here. And we have our meat here. So we're just going to take each piece out one at a time, and you want to kind of keep space between the meat, and you want to lay it out evenly. You don't want it too cluttered because it'll take a lot longer to cook that way, and you want the heat and the air inside of that chamber to move around so it can dehydrate the meat. So we're just going to throw a few pieces on here. And this one's loaded up, see? I only put about half a dozen pieces on there because I don't want it too cluttered and I don't want to overload it. Another thing you want to do is after the meat's been dehydrating for about 12 hours, halfway through its cook time, so you want to go through and take each tray out individually and flip every single piece of meat, because what happens is the meat tends to stick to these trays if you don't flip it, and it'll take a lot longer to cook that way too. So it's in your best interest to go in and flip each piece after 12 hours, so that way after the 24 hours is done, each side is cooked evenly. Now that the meat's been in the food dehydrator for over 24 hours, we have a finished product here. There's still some few thick pieces left in here. The thicker pieces take longer to cook, but 90% of it's done. The way you can tell it's done is you want to kind of break it apart, and it should look white inside. If it's still like a reddish color, then it still needs to be cooked a little bit longer. But when it's fully dehydrated, the meat tears apart and it looks white in the middle. So what you want to do after you take it off of there is just let it air out, let it basically just cool down. Then you can throw it in a Ziploc bag and it'll stay good for a few weeks. There's salt in the marinade, and that works as a natural preservative, and that's why the jerky can stay good for so long. But once you're done, it's just ready to eat and enjoy. And that pretty much concludes my speech on demonstrating how to make beef jerky. Hopefully you guys will give it a try sometime. I look forward to watching your speeches. Thank you.